Dear viewers, welcome to this episode of Your Life, Your Money. Today's topic is all about people who have got money. You could be the one who is already having money, or you could be trying to know what happens when you have lots of money. It is much difficult to manage your money than to earn the money itself and accumulate it. The most difficult part of money is managing money. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the 10 mistakes people make when they have more money than they really need. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I'm Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, NRI Money Clinic gives you 2 videos every week. Every Tuesday, an expert comes on the channel, talks about topics for which an expert view, an expert answer is required. Every Friday, I speak to you on thoughts on your life, your money. Both these videos are filled with value. There is something for you to take. There is something for you to practice in your life. Do not miss one single video. If you have not yet subscribed for this channel, this is the time. You hit the subscribe button, press the bell icon. You will not be missing one single video which we are producing for you. And in the same time, I request you to give your feedback. Leave your comments on the topics that we have produced. What do you feel about the topics that I have done? How did it enrich you? You have any request to make? I want video on this particular topic. I want video to solve this particular problem. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. We are listening at appropriate time. I'll bring expert or I'll myself speak on the subject. It can solve problems for you. Coming back to the subject, why do you think people will have lots of money? Many people think having lots of money is I have earned a lot of money. I have worked hard. I have put in my sweat and toil. I have done everything correct. That's why I'm having a lot of money. You could be true. It could be the case with a lot of people. There are a lot of people who do not have any of these things but still could be having a lot of money. Somebody who has won a lottery ticket. Somebody who has got a big inheritance. There are people who are like, lucky employees, or they have got into a startup and the startup grew into a big business and they have sold their equity and it has got a valuation, and just because you are an employee in that company and you have got this employee stock options or restricted stock units, whatever it may be, you could be having a lot of money. You could also be a talented person. You could be a talented sports person, talented Bollywood actor, or you could be an industrialist, which itself brings you a colossal amount of money in your life. So the options of making money are more, and the reasons why you have money could also be other than your own hard work and your own efforts into it. One thing which stands very clear here is earning money is not that difficult. If you put in your efforts, if you follow the principles, discipline, upskilling yourself, put that extra effort, earning money becomes not that difficult issue. But I can say with certainty, managing money is much more difficult. It is very difficult to save that money that you have earned unless you consciously practice and unless you consciously avoid the pitfalls which you will fall into if you are not conscious about how to manage your money. Managing money is far, far difficult than earning money itself. Let's look at the 10 mistakes the rich guys or the people with lots of money make and consciously try to avoid those mistakes. Many people have commented telling that you talk about the negative things. Give us the solution. In these 10 points, the points are negative in nature. What mistakes will happen and how it will happen, it's a negative in nature. How to convert into positive? Simple. You just avoid these negatives and you are doing everything positive. It is as simple as that. Let's look at these points one by one. Mistake number 1. The arrogance comes in your life. When people earn a lot of money or when people have got a lot of money, the arrogance comes in your life. It automatically comes. The money breeds that arrogance in you. Unless you consciously practice to keep this arrogance away, the power of money breeds arrogance in people's life. And arrogance is a negative character. And when you are filled with that arrogance, the arrogance makes you do unwanted things in your life. Who could have been your friends? Who could have been your supporters? People with whom you had very good positive relationships will turn to negative. People who could have helped you can become your enemies. One thing that you have to consciously avoid is arrogance. Replace arrogance with humbleness. Look at the life of some of the people who are really rich but who have remained very, very humble. The Tatas, the Ajim Premjis, Sudha Murthy, Narayan Murthy. Look at the amount of money has not spoiled them, and you see how world respects them. That's the way you have to follow. When you become very rich, take care of people around you. It could be your staff, it could be the domestic help, it could be your security, it could be your driver, it could be somebody who is near and dear ones for you. Be very humble to them, be kind to them. Whatever help you can do to uplift their lives, try and do this, because you've got so much of your money. It's not a good idea to see that your own surroundings, people who assist you in and day out, are not suffering for want of money. Mistake number 2, being reckless. Recklessness comes because you're not worried about the money. You take reckless decisions. Some people say, construct this, and within a few days they say that no, this is not good, demolish this, construct something else. There are people who buy gadgets and they feel that this is not good, and they'll sell it for a fancy price at some point of time there, and they'll immediately go for the next. People who buy vehicles which they don't need. There could be anything. Recklessness can come in various forms. You simply book tickets and you don't cancel it and you lose that money. So recklessness can come in various forms. Whichever the form it may come, it creates disaster. It creates loss of money. It creates erosion of wealth that you have got or wealth that you have acquired. Mistake number 3, impulsiveness. People take decisions very impulsively. They get moved, they get carried away by the emotions, and they take impulsive decisions. I'll tell you a story. I am from a place called Mangalore. At one point of time, I was a poultry farmer, a poultry trader, and a hatchery man. It didn't do well. I lost money there. There was a time I was dealing with a business house and the poultry was doing very well. And suddenly this business house decides to put a lot of poultry stores between Mangalore and Kasaragod, which is about 60 kilometers from Mangalore. And they created something like 20-30 poultry stores in between this stretch of 60 kilometers. The business group was involved in the constructions. They were the builders. They had no reason to put a poultry store. They never made any calculation. What made them do these poultry stores in between the 60 kilometer track? They saw there was a cyclicity in a poultry business, and because of which the poultry was commanding a lot of money and there was shortage and people were making money. They saw this happening and they thought this will continue forever, and they committed a lot of money in setting up these stores. Poultry is a difficult business and you can't control anything. You can't control disease, you can't control your staff, you can't control your buyers, you can't control the raw material prices, nothing. Because of this impulsive decisions, the businessman lost not in lakhs, the businessman lost in multi-crores of rupees. This kind of a impulsive decision created a big dent in the life of this businessman. So it's not just the case of poultry farming, what I'm telling. If you look at carefully, people who have got lots of money, they tend to take impulsive decisions. Slow down, think, do your due diligence and see whether it works for you. Do not take impulsive decision. It need not be the case of a businessman. Even in case of individuals, if you have more money than what you really require, you could be taking impulsive decisions with other forms as well. Mistake number 4. Negligence and ignorance. Money breeds a kind of complacency. It takes you over. You tend to neglect. The neglect can come in many forms. You could be neglecting your duties. When you are in the process of earning money, you could be getting up early. You should have had a schedule. You will reach your office on time. You will take care of things and you control your staff. You guide your staff. You do everything. But just because you've got money, you could become complacent and neglecting your duties. And because you've got a lot of money, you may take decisions without doing due diligence. You will also exercise many times a bad judgment or no judgment. I'll tell you an example here. Now, the neglect or ignorance, you all know the story of the owner of Raymond's. Why is he suffering today? The answer lies behind neglect and ignorance both. He neglected the due diligence before he handed over his business to his son and daughter-in-law, as a result of which he is suffering today. And the consequences can come in multiple forms. I just took the example of owner of Raymond's, but the negligence and ignorance can be very, very detrimental. Mistake number 5: betting, gambling, and other forms. Now, when people have got lots of money, they'll hang around with a particular type of crowd. They could be seen in a particular club, they could be seen in a stud farm, they could be seen during a race, or there could be other forms of betting, playing cards, or whatever it is. Because you want to be seen in a particular set of people and you try to emulate them and you try to do what others are doing without knowing the consequences or completely neglecting the consequences of your act. When you have money, one thing I do not hesitate to say is stay clearly away from betting and gambling. There are a lot of people in this world who will come and lure you. When a person has got money and you are showing off, the whole world knows that you have got money. And there are people, there is a luxury industry which keep coming to you, lure you to do things which you are not supposed to do. So unless you are conscious to keep these vices away, it can become a major problem in your life. Mistake number 6: buying what you don't need. There is a saying, if you buy what you do not need, a day will come where you will be forced to sell what you need. How well it is said. We can see this in the life of so many people. Have you heard about Michael Jackson? Have you heard about Boris Becker? Have you heard about industrialists who buy aircraft without even requiring it? What happens at the end? When you misallocate your resources, when you spend beyond your means, and when you try and buy things you don't need, a day will come where you cannot control the debt and your cash outflows becomes more than your income, and the net result is either a person will go broke or all that they have earned can be at risk. What was the need for Michael Jackson to die as completely pauper? What is the need for Boris Becker to go bankrupt? Unless they have done all these things of buying what they don't need, living beyond their means, all the richness, all the money that they earned has gone completely waste because of this habit of buying what you don't need. Mistake number 7: trying to avoid taxes or hiding your assets. When you are a rich man and you've got lots of assets, trying to hide assets or avoiding taxes is not at all working in your favor. You can't disclose it. You are under a radar. The IT officials are looking at you. You can't hide any of these things. If you try to avoid taxes, then you will end up paying a huge penalties, or you may lose these assets because you can't control them because you have created the benamias, or you have not declared to the state what assets you are holding. You will never become a genuine owner. When you have money, be conscious to declare each and every income that you have. Pay your taxes as a responsible citizen. Do not hide any assets that you have, and you have to consciously practice this. Then only the wealth that you have acquired will remain with you or passed on to your legal heirs after your time. Mistake number 8: lack of trusted advisors or neglect of trusted advice. It's one and the same. If you do not have an advisor, and that to the trusted advisors, it can create problems for you. At the same time, if you do not heed to the sane advice of your trusted advisors, that can also become a problem. I'll quote you a story here, and this is what I have heard, or this is what I have read somewhere. I don't know whether it is true or not, but I have every reason to believe that this could be a true story. We have all heard about Kingfisher Airlines, Vijay Mallya, right? So when he was on an expanding spree, his CFO told him that this will not work for him and it will create a disaster in the life of the company, and it was informed to Mr. Mallya well in advance. The CFO said that the amount of capital that we have is barely sufficient enough to run our own businesses, and if we take out the capital and move it elsewhere, then a disaster is just a question of when it will happen. What did Mr. Mallya do? He neglected the advice of the sane advisor. Had he heeded, has he slowed down, has he tried to buy some time and try to rethink this, the disaster which happened in your life could have been avoided. So always heed to the advisors. If you think the advisor has not given you the right advice, you are well within your means to seek a second opinion. But you must have an advisor, and you must have trusted advisor. And when an advice comes, take it with all the seriousness and put it through a test of a second opinion if you think the stakes are very high. By the way, we we are also people who take care of personal finance of a lot of people. We help people reach life goals. We help people manage money, both in India as well as outside the India. If you are somebody who is looking out for professional help to design things for you, be it the retired life, be it the question of managing your wealth, finding right opportunity to invest your money, to sort out your dilemma of should you invest in India, outside India, what preparations you have to make before you come back to India, we have services designed for you. We have experts on the ground. There are a lot of experts who are ready to help you. How can you reach to us if you have an intention? Very, very simple. Our WhatsApp number is given here in the description box, as well as there is a link which is given there. Click on the link. It takes you to the WhatsApp. Send us your message with your query, and our team of experts are ever ready to help you. Why delay? Send that message right now. Mistake number 9, expanding into unknown areas, expanding into areas where you do not have competence. Again, I'll go back to the earlier 2 examples. Let's take the case of Mr. Vijay Mallya. What is Vijay Mallya's original business? He is a liquor baron. He groomed at UB beer, and that's where most of his money was coming in. But at later part of his life, where did he expand into? He expanded to fertilizer unit called Mangalore Chemicals and Fertilizer, MCF in Mangalore. He forayed into stud farm in Kunigal. He bought the old items like Tipu's sword. He started a Formula 1 car, and he started an airline. What's the correlation between these things? Are these a related business? No. He knew nothing except that he was governed by that arrogance within, and he was not heeding to his advisor. He didn't have the required capital. He forayed into all these things. Does it happen in the life of many other people? It does. People go and buy properties. People go and buy things which they don't need. There are people who will go and trade in futures and options without knowing how dangerous it is, how it can create problems. People play rummy circles. People play a lot of gambling and other things. If you venture into things which you do not know, or if you are venturing into something where you do not have competence, make no mistake, disaster is waiting. The question is when it will strike you. Mistake number 10. It is called scattering. Scattering is you have got money and you will spill it in all over the place. I still remember I went to Dubai in the year 2010. One of my first clients was a general manager in one of the big companies. I had done a fact find with this gentleman and immediately had pointed out to him, look, you have got lots of money and you have got lots of assets. But I told that if you do not rectify this particular problem of scattering, it will come back and badly bite you. This gentleman had bought properties, you believe it or not, in about 18 places. And 18 places, not in one single city, not in one single country, multiple cities, multiple countries. He had assets in India, he had assets in Dubai, he had assets in Georgia, and in India he had assets in more than 15 cities. I was wondering, such an intelligent person, knowledgeable person, talented person, why did he do the mistake? When I carefully checked his background, it's his childhood. He had created an icon in his mind of an uncle of him who has grown to riches because of his forays into real estate. That image was there in his mind, and he tried to replicate this when he had this money. How did it affect him? He didn't change because I told him, nor he is my client also right now. But when I met him over some social event in Bangalore, I realized that he told me one thing. It is you who gave me the sane advice on that day. I cannot control this. I cannot control a tenant of mine. I'm so busy with my own work. Because of this, people know that I cannot come and visit them. I cannot focus on them. People are not paying me the rent. The brokers are taking advantage of me, and this properties itself has become a problem for me. So if you try to do scattering, thinking that this is going to be a diversified investment, I'll spread all over the place, thin and wide, it will not work for you. And again, it will have the potential problem of creating a disaster in your life as well as wealth erosion. Dear viewers, hope the 10 points that I have given you today helped you to understand how you have to manage wealth and how you have to avoid the pitfalls. This is not the story of only ultra high net worth individuals. These tendencies can be there in every individual. Maybe the magnitude differs. If you can identify if it were to be there and avoid them, I'm very sure you will have a good life and your wealth will only keep growing. If it helped you to understand and avoid this pitfall, do not forget to give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you with yet another episode of Your Life, Your Money next Friday. Till then, stay safe. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.